Hey everybody, this is Jim Kurtz with Harvest Harmonics, joining you again for our webinar here, the future of farming today. And today we're going to be discussing, some of the different advances we're seeing. A lot of times we look at technology and evolution in some sectors, right, are they move very fast. Computers, for example, move very fast. I remember when I was in high school back in the 90s. I know I'm dating myself here, but when I was in high school back in the 90s, it seems like the computers were doubling in speed every year. So you almost didn't want to buy a computer because the next year, the newest model next year was going to be twice as fast as last year. And that's sort of evened out over time. You don't see these giant leaps in terms of speed of computers, but you do see pretty fast results. Cell phones, there's a new model of cell phone out every single year now, or every 2 years. And I think maybe that might be hitting a plateau where even the manufacturers are going, do we really need a new phone every year? How many of our customer base is really buying a brand new phone every single year? And all these things go through evolutions. And I think agriculture has been one of those things that has been incrementally changing, but there hasn't been, as far as I know, any real big leaps forward in terms of huge productivity. Back in the 60s and 50s and 60s with the Green Revolution, right? We really took a huge leap forward in productivity. I mean, it was like 20, 30, 40% increases in yield was common. And now we're kind of hitting that point of the last 10, 20 years where your increases in yield have not matched that. So what I'm interested in showing you guys is why we are the yield kings, why we are the kings of increasing yields, because you can only do so much with soil amendments. You can only do so much in terms of handling the environment until you handle the plant. Once you handle the plant and get that plant really producing, you're going to increase your yield and lots of other factors. So let's take a look, and I want to focus today on how you can increase yield by 20, 30% and more, because it's not really enough to just to say, well, I got a 2% increase here, I got a 3% increase there. We want to show you how we're getting 15, 30, 40, 100% increases in yield on farms all over the world. And if you guys have questions as I go through this, please don't hesitate to ask. I want to make sure everybody understands and recognizes what we're presenting here. So if you have questions, put them in the chat. If you're watching this on Facebook Live, you can put this on the comments on Facebook. We'd be happy to answer for you. But let's take a look here at, oops, 1 second. First, I had this up all day, and as soon as I start my webinar, this technical difficulties hits me. Okay, here we go. So let's take a look here at what we're talking about, why this is such a huge breakthrough. I don't want to undersell this because it is a breakthrough. This is a monumental discovery that's been made. And we've been launching this product for the last 2 years now. We're getting lots of farms on board with this and getting great results. But I don't want to undersell this and say, well, this is just like another input or like this or like that. It's not those things. This is a huge breakthrough in terms of plant science and yield and increasing crop yields. So if you're looking for a product where you're going to get 2%, maybe 3% or 5% increase in yield, this is not your product. If you're the kind of farmer that says, no, I really want to increase my yield, I really want to improve what I'm doing, especially if you're a specialty crop grower and you know that, hey, if I can get 20% increase on my cherries or my grapes or my strawberries, that's going to turn into tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars for me. These are the kind of farmers we want to talk to. So if you're the kind of guy that is looking to make a huge impact and huge changes in what you're doing, then definitely pay attention to this, because this type of an opportunity does not come around that much. It doesn't happen that you get these opportunities where you see these huge differences. And if you wait and choose to jump on this technology later, think of all the people that would have beat you to the punch, would have already been using this, would have already been making a lot more money, while you kind of sat and waited for their results. So if you're the type of person that likes to be first and likes to get an opportunity and really seize that opportunity and really make a difference in your farm and of course in your bottom line, then definitely watch this presentation. For the rest of you guys, you feel free to watch and ask questions, but we have to understand that this is for the bold. This is for the decision makers. This is for the people that want to get a competitive advantage today, and they don't want to wait till tomorrow or next year or the following season or 15 years from now when everybody else has already used this. And by then the technology beyond technology version 20 And we might be growing on Mars by then, who knows? So let's take a look here. Now our mission here, just to kind of give you an idea here, our mission really is not necessarily to launch a product and make a bunch of money, or even necessarily to help farmers make a lot of money, although that is of course one of our goals. Our main mission here is to improve the quality of food that everybody gets to eat. If we really look at around today, and COVID was a big wake-up call, and if COVID wasn't a wake-up call that you need to be really paying attention to your health, then I don't know what is, because a lot of people who weren't prepared for something like that, they died. And a lot of other people got really sick when they otherwise maybe didn't need to. I myself got COVID about a month ago, and it was no joke. It was not a fun experience. But because my body was healthy and I had taken care of myself, I was able to get over it within a week and back to normal. And I hope that is the case for all of you guys. So our mission is to help farmers, okay, grow healthier, better quality food at lower cost and with higher yields without harming the environment. So we're not like, let's make a big dent this year, let's make a big crop this year, and then ruin our soil or ruin the environment in the process. That is not what we're doing here. We're increasing and improving the soil health and the environment, along with increasing your yields. Now, Fulvio Baumeli, the inventor of this technology, studied human physiology for quite some time, and he discovered that the common denominator of poor health and it was poor nutrition. So when you look at all these COVID cases and all these other problems and physical dysfunctions, what is the common cause of all this? Well, it's poor nutrition and poor health. And he spent 20 years after that really researching in detail plants and plant physiology and plant metabolism. And he realized that it wasn't enough just to improve one small area of the metabolism of a plant. In other words, it's not just enough to say, how do we get that plant to absorb more nitrogen? Or how do we get that plant to absorb more water? Or how do we get that plant able to produce more fruits and vegetables? You know, the metabolism of plant has many different factors. And if we only focus on one of those factors, you're going to get a result, but it's not going to be anywhere near the kind of result that we're seeing, because Mr. Baumeli said, I want to boost the entire metabolism of the plant all at the same time. Because when you can do that, you're going to take the potential results from 2, 3, 4, 5% increases to 20, 25, 30, 40% increases, right? Now, the basis of this technology is that every living thing on this planet has a metabolism, and those metabolism all occurs at a very specific rate for each organism. So plants in photosynthesis has a very unique metabolism, and that's the same across all plant types. And that metabolism can be measured and documented at very specific frequency patterns that enhance a plant's metabolism. And when you can introduce these signals to a plant, the plant becomes healthier. And to give you an example here we have a healthy sunflower, and let's just take a very simplified version of what the output signals of a healthy plant might look like when we have our special electromagnetic equipment that can measure these things. It might be a very unique and very orderly wave like you see here on this healthy sunflower. But when a plant gets stressed, the metabolism of the plant gets altered, it gets changed, and the plant's not able to generate the same amount of energy that it otherwise would. So what Mr. Baumeli did is he studied plants again for 20 years, did thousands of experiments, and he discovered over 3,000 unique frequency patterns in a plant's metabolism that directly correspond to various functions and improving overall quality and quantity of yield. From that point, he was able to program microtransmitters with these 3,000 signals and various unique combinations. And when we attach this to an irrigation system, the water that we use to irrigate the crops can be used to simultaneously boost the metabolism of plants. Now, this is not the old way we're doing science. This is a breakthrough. It's a breakthrough of magnitude, because now we're able to directly influence the metabolism of a plant instead of trying to influence it through additional soil amendments and water and other types of factors. All of those agricultural practices are all well and good, but if you don't increase the plant's metabolism itself, then it can't utilize everything that you're using to improve the quality of the soil and the environment. So when plants absorb the water that has these signals, its metabolism is increased, its photosynthetic activity is enhanced, and the microbial activity in the soil is also enhanced, so that it actually is rebuilding the soil while we're increasing the crop yield. Now, if this all sounds too good to be true, or that I'm promising too much, again, keep in mind, this is a breakthrough of magnitude in plant science. Okay, nothing like this technology has ever existed before, and that's why we're seeing results we've never seen before here. Now, the simplicity of this is taking it back down to practical matters here is this technology is delivered through a simple irrigation device that attaches either to a pump or well or water source, or we also have prefabricated smaller devices for trials and trial kits and these things for trials or greenhouses or even gardens. Now, the technology is really unique in that it improves two key areas of plant health. The first is to make photosynthesis much more efficient than it ever was before, especially in stress conditions where you have too much heat or it's cloudy or there's not enough water or nutrients available to it. Our system will help that plant utilize the resources it has available to it in the most efficient way so that it can produce as much energy and as much fruit and vegetable production as it can given the conditions. Now, the second key area is to improve soil health, and that includes salinity of the soil, that includes soil microbial activity, and it also includes water retention in the soil as well. So when we increase and improve photosynthesis, what does that mean for the farmer? Well, it means that your crops are going to grow faster and they're going to grow more healthy. It's going to produce more flowering and more fruit production in terms of quantity, and the quality of that fruit is going to be enhanced as well. Now, let's take a look at a few examples that we've seen here just on farms in the last year and a half using this technology. On citrus seedlings here, we have a 2-year-old seedling on the left. The smaller one here is a 2-year-old seedling, and you see on one side of the truck here that seedling is not growing all that fast. It's not growing all that healthy. It's got some issues there. And the Kiminasi treated seedling on the right is a 1-year-old seedling. So in half the time, it's doubled the growth rate versus control. Now, when we look at nursery applications, we've again doubled the speed of growth on dragon fruit seedlings here from 10 weeks down to 5 weeks. And you see it's not just a matter of it being faster, but the quality and the health of the plant is also increased. You see how much more vibrant the color is on the treated plant versus control. Next one is 100% increase in quality of tomatoes with 0 pesticide use. This particular greenhouse didn't have to use, excuse me, that's not tomatoes, it's paprikas on this greenhouse, I apologize. But the quality of these paprikas were improved, and the production, we doubled the production from 2 kilograms per plant to, from 1 kilogram per plant to 2, and we didn't have to use fungicides or any other pesticides in this greenhouse. Now, tomatoes, we've increased the quality to 100% highest quality. So that went from 70 to 80% up to 100% of the highest grade in tomatoes. And again, 0 pesticide use. We didn't have to use insecticides or fungicides on these crops with Kiminasi because it made the plants healthy enough that it didn't need it. Now, this particular one is a wheatgrass experiment we ran, and we saw 30% faster growth on wheatgrass. So if you guys are growing lettuce or microgreens or sprouts or those types of crops, like you have a greenhouse and those types of things, the Kiminasi plant booster will help you get more turns in the course of a year or a season, which is going to, of course, increase your yield. In fact, we've seen 30% faster growth rate in this particular example. We've seen other examples where we're getting 2, 3, 4 more crops during the course of a year, depending on what you're growing. Now, the tissue analysis that we did on this particular experiment showed 6 times more iron content, as well as more potassium, more nitrogen, and more phosphorus. So it's not just that we're growing the plants faster, but they're absorbing those nutrients faster, and they're making the plant much more healthy and nutrient dense than they otherwise would be. Now, here we have melons, a 25% overall increase on melon production with less minor fly, 27% increase on artichoke production with less nematodes in the soil, better fresh weight here on rice with less fungi and nematodes. We've seen better reduction in mite infestation from 48% down to less than 10% of the treated vines. Here's the agronomy report that showcases that, and I'm, of course, willing to showcase that with you. And let's take a look at yield. Obviously, most farmers want to know about yield, and believe me, we have yield covered. I'm not talking about 3%, 4%, I'm talking, in this case, 49%. This is not just some small farm that had all these problems. This is the largest asparagus grower down in South America, and they got a 49% increase over what they're already doing in a 6-month period. And the chart shows the different harvest days with the control field and the Kiminasi field, and every day except the very first, the Kiminasi field outperformed and outproduced the control field here. 20% increase in overall yield on eggplant. Again, huge difference there. We saw another example of a huge improvement in insect resistance on the treated field on the right here. 0 insect damage throughout the leaves of the plants versus all these holes and other damage you can see on the untreated field on the left. 26% overall increase in watermelon production at the National Agrarian University. We're waiting on the white paper and peer-reviewed studies on that. We have 12 tons per hectare more in terms of overall production there. 55% increase on lime production on lime trees. Again, we're just helping those trees flower more and produce more fruit with less fruit drop as well. 16% increase in potato yields. Now, again, potato is one of those crops you don't necessarily expect to see huge numbers. And this farmer, this was his best producing field. So again, we didn't choose the worst field and say, we'll compare the worst to the best. This is the highest producing field that we tested this on, and it got a 16% increase there. The next one, again, it may seem like too good to be true, but the 97% overall increase in pepper production. Again, peppers, because of the way they have a lot of space in the middle of the pepper between the cellular walls and the seed compartment, we're really filling in the flesh of that and actually making those plants much, much heavier. So we got a 20% increase in number of peppers, but we got a 97%, and it was 5 times increase over what we were seeing there before. If you guys have peppers or specialty crops, I cannot stress enough, if you want to really increase your yield and your production, you need to be using Kemenasi plant booster, because our system is a breakthrough in plant science that's dramatically improving yields. Another case in point here, 130% increase on this potato field. So this farmer on his standard field got 130%, more than double the production versus his control field here. A 33% overall increase in lentil production in India. And if you're wondering, well, you see big numbers in yield, does that mean you're turning out a lot of low quality fruits and vegetables? The answer is no, we're actually increasing the quality as well. So take a look here, we got a 25% increase in production of cherries on this particular farm. However, we also increased his yield, his price, the sell price he was able to get from $5 to $6. Now, $1 per kilogram may not seem a lot, but when you were producing an extra 5,000 kilograms because of our technology, and you're getting an extra $1 on top of that, I mean, you're talking about a total difference there of almost $47,000 for this farmer per hectare. So again, if you're a specialty crop grower and you're not using this, just don't wait. I mean, the longer you wait is the more money that you're not making. And let's face it, there's not an opportunity like this that comes along very often. There's opportunities to make things better and improve, but you don't see opportunities where like huge leaps forward like this very often. So the longer you wait, the more money that's just not going into your pocket. And that would be, of course, a shame. Let's continue here. Dairy production. Again, people think, well, what about dairy? What are you doing with the cows? The answer is we're not actually doing anything with the cows in this sense. What we did here was we watered the pastures with Kemenasi, and the grass was growing faster, so we reduced its rotation time. But the grass also had greater nutrient density for the cows, so when the cows grazed on this over a 3-month period, the average increase in milk production per cow was about 6 liters. So huge, huge differences there. Can't stress enough here how many different areas we seem to be affecting by this amazing technology. And Brix rating and fruit size. So in this particular example, we got a 5-point increase in Brix rating in just 4 weeks. We got him right at the end of his harvest, and he says, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it this year. We put our system on there, and we increased the size and Brix rating of his plums for that year. Next example, again, one of the largest blueberry growers down in South America, Hortefruit, had a 10% increase in overall size with better Brix to acidity ratio on the treated blueberries. And overall, they made an extra $12,497 with Kemenasi than they would have otherwise made. That's about a $4,500 difference per acre. So if you can imagine investing, $100, $200, $300 an acre in something that's going to make you $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 per acre. I mean, that's a 10x return. If you're one of those types of guys that, if I offered you a $10 bill for every dollar bill you gave me right now, I'm sure a lot of you guys will be looking around for as many dollar bills as you can. And we're delivering this time and time again. Again, this particular example is a 56% increase in exportable blueberries. So again, the blueberries that this grower is growing were not up to the standard needed to export them. So he was having to sell them locally, which is fine, but then he doesn't make as much money selling them within Chile as he does when he exports it to other countries. So he's making a ton more money just by exporting what he's already got, as opposed to even increasing his yield. Now, we've talked a lot about yield, we've talked about health, we've talked about quality, but let's talk about soil health, because a lot of this is really important, but it may not make the best long-range success if we're not also taking care of sustainability and overall improvement in the health of the soil. So what we're seeing on a lot of our test farms, what farmers are reporting to us is a reduction in soil conductivity, which means less sodium in the soil, an increase in microbial activity in the soil, better water infiltration and penetration into the soil, and overall a reduction in the amount of water required and greater tolerance to brackish or salty water. So if you've got salt issues with your fields or with your irrigation water, you need to use this because we're going to give you a buffer and keep and protect those plants against that stress. Let's take a look at a couple of examples here. Again, I mentioned soil conductivity. In this particular soil test, we saw that we reduced his soil conductivity from 2.3 down to 1.7. We also reduced his overall sodium content from 1.1 down to 0.6, so from a high level to normal. This particular farmer reduced his watering time on his almond grove from 12 hours down to 9 hours. And as a result, he reduced his overall water usage by 66% versus the previous year. This walnut farmer also reported a 46% water savings with a 30% increase in overall production. So we're increasing yield with using less water. And yet another example of that is this grape farmer who, because of this 30% less water available for irrigation, and I know you guys in California are hearing me on this because that's exactly what's happening to you guys. With 30% less water available, his field still outproduced all the neighboring plantations by over 75%. Huge, huge differences there. Again, I'm not talking about a technology that's 1-2%. I'm not talking about something that's a minor improvement about what you're already doing. I'm talking about something that's going to take everything you're already doing and amplifying it to a degree where you're going to be seeing double-digit growth on everything that you're growing. In summary, guys, again, 20 to 40% more production is common with most of our crops. We're seeing better fresh weight, greater numbers of fruits. We're seeing better Brix rating, higher quality ratings. Farmers are getting more money when they're selling it directly to the public. Better shelf life with less loss and rot. A number of different benefits, guys, that we're seeing all over the world. And I want you to be part of this. I mean, if you guys, again, are one of those people that see an opportunity and can seize that opportunity and jump on board, you're going to win. You're going to make a lot more money and you're going to be producing better quality food for all of us. If you're one of those guys that has to wait and is not sure and is not confident, unfortunately, you're going to miss out on the opportunity. And I don't want that to happen. So definitely give us a call and let us know. Oops, there's a guy calling right now, actually. So turn that off. Sorry about that, guys. You know, we have guys calling. I do these shows and we guys call in as I'm doing the show. So it's very interesting. But let's take your questions, guys. Let me stop my screen share here. Let me open it up for some questions here. I'm going to take a look at the chat here first. And let's see what we got here. Question is, how these transmitters a power source? Are they recharged? Laura asked that question. Good question. Yes, they are charged. What we do is these are self-contained units. So the microtransmitters themselves are self-powered. And so you just basically attach it to your irrigation system, and every time you water the plants, it will activate our devices, and they will run for 2 years. After 2 years, they need to be replaced because that's the shelf life on them. And every 6 months, we do water samples to verify that the signals are still in the water and everything is operating as it should. That's a great question there. And I'm going to take a look here at Facebook to see if anybody here on Facebook has some questions for me. There you are. I'll have to get back to that farmer here in just a second. Not seeing questions here. Okay, that's really all the questions I'm seeing, guys. I don't see any other questions today, and that's totally fine. But if you guys want to get a quote, you can always reach out to us. Our phone number is 727-324-6750. You can email us at service@harvestharmonics.com. And you can, of course, go to our website at harvestharmonics.com. If you happen to use, if you happen to have any other questions or want a quote, we can definitely help you with that. And I do see one other question. Does it use magnets? That was from Finn here. The answer to that is no. This is not a magnet technology. There's been a lot of different solutions which utilize, I guess, some kind of magnetic approach to improving water quality. Our technology is not a magnetic technology. It's a very unique radio wave technology that utilizes a very unique pattern of signal. So we're not using magnets. This is a completely new and different technology than some of the things you may have heard of before. So again, if you want a quote, you want to see this work in action, let's have a conversation. Give us a call. You can also email us and we'll be happy to work with you and get this on your farm so we can see the same results. I definitely want to see, and I know we're going to see here as we wrap up the season for 2021 in a lot of areas, we're going to be seeing a lot of new reports of success, and I'd love to see your farm on that list. So give us a call and we'll be glad to work with you. But that's all we got today, guys. I want to thank you for joining us, and stay tuned again tomorrow for the Future of Farming Today. We will be going over another hot topic of agriculture and showing you even more results. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it, and have a great day.